This episode is brought to you by Function Health. Function Health provides transformative insights into your body that go beyond what's available at a standard doctor's visit. And this has been a game changer for me. I got into Function Health this year, and it's been incredible. I've already had a couple blood tests. It's been very insightful. It's helped with my diet. And now that I am in full-blown Badwater 135 training, this type of testing is very, very important for me. So Function is basically an all-in-one health platform. It starts with over 100 lab tests across your whole body every year: heart, hormones, liver, kidneys, thyroid, autoimmunity, cancer signals, toxins, nutrients. Lab visits are at one of 2,000 locations across the U.S., and it's just $4.99 per year. So basically, if you break it down per day, that's $1.37 per day. All results are tracked over time in one secure place with insights from top doctors based on your specific findings. Function is 5 times more testing than a typical physical and would cost you over $10,000 on your own. They don't try to sell you supplements or pharmaceuticals. There are no perverse incentives here. This is just the most powerful way to really own your health. You and your family should be on Function. And guess what? You can skip Function's waitlist at functionhealth.com/Sally McRae. That's functionhealth.com/Sally McRae. This episode is brought to you by Blissy. Blissy offers premium sleep and wellness products crafted from the highest quality 100% mulberry silk. Their signature Blissy silk pillowcases, which are on my pillows right now, is designed to improve skin, hair, and sleep quality. Who knew that a pillowcase could be the reason why my skin has blemishes and my hair is breaking? Now, let me tell you just a few benefits of using these pillowcases. They have anti-aging properties, reduce fine lines and wrinkles over time. They eliminate frizz, preserve hairstyles, and protect color-treated hair. And they are clinically proven to not clog pores, unlike cotton. Now, these have been a game changer for me, and I'm so excited I get to offer this incredible discount just for you, our listeners. Blissy is offering 60 nights risk-free plus an additional 30% off when you shop at blissy.com/strongpod. That's BLISSY.com/STRONGPOD and use code STRONGPOD to get an additional 30% off. Your skin and hair will thank you. Hello, welcome to another episode. Very glad that you are here and that you decided to hang out with us today. Whatever you are doing right now, whether you've slipped into the car, we had somebody that actually, I wanted to highlight this one, who said that she was waiting in the parking lot for her mom, and she had her kids in the car with her. So I don't know if her mom was inside doing shopping and she had 2 little ones, and so it was just a lot easier for her to sit in the car. And so she turned on the Cheese Strong podcast, and nice. I just thought that's so cool. So I'm glad that we got to be with you during that time, and hopefully we gave you a smile on your face. So whatever it is that you're doing, whether you have just started a run, started that bike ride, your morning walk, shout out to all the kids. We're always really grateful that we get to spend time with you. Now, today's episode, we're going to be discussing the basics of getting faster. I know there's a lot of actually really wonderful running podcasts that talk about this. This is one of the most, I'd say curious topics that people have. I don't think it has to do with whether or not you're trying to get on the podium, but everyone wants to know what do I actually need to do to get faster? And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about getting faster. And so I think whether you are back of the pack, middle of the pack, you're getting on the podium, there's just some basics that's good for all of us to know. So I'm not going to deep dive and shred apart the science. I always suggest Jason Koop's book. Such a great book. book I've suggested on my podcast many times. He's brilliant and goes over that topic quite a bit. But, I always like to give just quick, good, insightful, general feedback. And I like to discuss things in coaching in ways that everyone can understand. So, if I can just give you a couple things that encourage you, that you can take away with you, that you can remember easily, know that that's definitely how we're going to discuss that today. And like anything that we do in our running, if that is the particular sport that you really love, I think it's always wise to remain students, because as a coach in this area and as someone who's competed in this area for a while, I know there's a lot of different ideas about how to get faster. And the more customized your training program is, the more specific your goals are, you'll also find that what works for someone else might not work for you. And so even down to workouts and how much mileage and how intense you should go and how many times a week that you should be doing those workouts, we all need a little bit different types of workouts. We all respond differently. As we get older, those workouts change too. And so there's so many variables to keep in mind. But I think that if you know the basics and then you are really good at listening to your body, paying attention to how you recover, you'll be encouraged. So that's what we're going to do today. Other than that, Ed, I'm just going to throw it back at you. I know you're excited to discuss your favorite topic, which is just the world, the world of sports. And when it comes to basketball, baseball, and football, these topics get Eddie excited, and we have a very large audience that loves these topics too. We are in the month of March, and Eddie, what is the month of March all about?
Happy March Madness, everyone. That is what it's all about. That's why we're here today. Sally, just you were talking about something about running, but we're here for March Madness. Come on, let's be honest.
And I don't want to highlight the fact that both of our children's birthdays also happen to be in March, but for Eddie, it's all about March Madness.
Our kids have birthdays in March too.
Isaiah just turned 17 a couple days ago. Mackenzie's turning 19 in...
Oh, don't remind me.
In That's 8 days. Eddie, I've had like some mourning, because this is the last year Isaiah's a kid. This is the last year that Mackenzie is a teenager.
Yep, that's right.
And 2026 will mark the first time in my life that I do not have children.
Yeah, that's
I have
weird.
2 adults.
That'll be weird.
Grown adult children. So, it was a hard week for me, to be honest. It really was. Because I'm still thinking, like, let's have more children. And you're like, you're crazy, as always.
That's another wild dream and idea you got.
Hey, adoption's never off the
That's
table.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
We could always adopt. That would actually be. Yeah, that's.
How'd we get down that topic,
all right,
babe?
Let's move on to March Madness. Oh well, I wanted to bring out some fun facts from March Madness because there's a lot of people out there that care less about March Madness. So I want to, throw a little fun facts your way to keep you engaged. And this is also talking to Sally, because Sally's not as into it as some of us are.
This is true.
Anyways, as many of you know, March Madness is a basketball tournament and of college teams. And we get to participate in this awesome month of March Madness basketball, because we get to fill out brackets and pretend like we know what we're doing and see who's going to win. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to follow along. And one of the cool little highlights I wanted to mention here was that nobody has ever filled out a perfect March Madness bracket.
Do you think that's impossible? It's a lot to fill out.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let me read this little stat. It says the odds are definitely not in anyone's favor, because mathematically, the chances of someone coming up with a perfectly accurate bracket are 1 in 9.2 quintillion.
Yeah.
And then, as if Google thought we were idiots, says, as if you don't already know, a quintillion is the number of 1 followed by 18 zeros.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot. That's a lot.
I didn't
know
number. That it was number. 18 zeros. But also, is that really like a
Yeah, I mean, no one has
struck.
ever filled it. Well,
Like,
you know what's crazy is that we are 2 hours in or so,
yeah.
and I have a perfect bracket.
Do
I am
you?
3-0 right now, so I might
Wow.
be the one in
Right.
9.2 quintillion that's gonna pull it off, so
Well, you've seen it here, listeners.
you have. I mean, you never know. At
You
this
never know.
point where we are recording, it's day one, but
Mm.
people might be listening to this and be like, "Wow, I remembered the time when Eddie said he had a 3-0 perfect bracket, and here he is, perfect bracket still."
Well, if your dreams don't scare you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Dream
1 in
big.
quintillion.
That's
Way to dream
pretty awesome.
bigger than everyone in the universe on that one.
Yeah. Who do you want to win the whole thing, Sal?
You
Who are
know,
you thinking?
I'm thinking that
Without googling
there's no
anything, go ahead
Googling
and
going
just
on
off
here.
the top of your head, who you're like, you know what?
I'm thinking we got Purdue.
Purdue.
Purdue
That's
is
who
a
you're
good
gonna.
one in the mix.
No, just ask for one.
Oh,
Who's
okay.
like your Purdue's the
Mhm.
team that you're gonna
No,
take?
that's not who
No,
I'm gonna take, but I think that they have a good
they have a
team.
good chance. Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
No, I'm asking you. I already know who I chose.
I wanna hear who you chose.
I'm going with Duke. I'm going with Duke all the
I
way.
feel like you go with Duke
I
quite a
haven't gone
bit.
with Duke in years, actually.
Then maybe Isaiah has.
I don't. Yeah, maybe, but I've won money from my son the past few
Who
years.
are
So,
your top 3?
who are my top 3?
Yeah. Who were you deciding
It's a
before
Final
with
Four,
Duke?
but
I know,
oh
but out of just all the teams, because what is there 16?
no, there's a lot more than that. But
16 games happening over the course of the
oh,
next 24 hours?
yeah, there's a lot of games today.
Yeah.
But my Final Four, in this is an odd. I got the final. I got. Okay, well, I got Duke.
While Eddie looks, I'd go ahead and look. You have to know that there have been several years where Eddie has been excited about creating his fantasy team, and he and Isaiah are just hardcore on it. And they will have multiple teams, like multiple groups of friends, and then
For fantasy football.
for fantasy football.
Yeah.
But for March Madness,
Mhm.
there was a time where me and Mackenzie
Mm.
had a bracket, and
Yeah,
then
that's
Eddie
right.
and Isaiah did. And Mackenzie and I never checked it. I don't even think one time did I ever log in. And there were several weeks I was winning.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. That wasn't March Madness. That was
Was that fantasy football?
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
thought it was March Madness when we did that.
No, because in fantasy football you have to like change each week your players and stuff,
Yes,
and you
and
never did,
And that made it even worse
you were
for
like
you.
beating me and Isaiah. So
And you guys would just
that was not
toil
cool.
over it.
Yeah. Anyways, I have St. John and Duke, and then I have Duke winning. So
Okay.
there you go. There it is. That's the perfect bracket. It's gonna go
What
down.
do you think of Utah this year?
Utah. I don't know much about Utah, to be honest.
No?
No, I don't. I don't know a lot about a lot of teams, to be honest. You know what's interesting is that I listened to something the other day, and it's so true, where you hear these random schools, and all of a sudden you
Random.
like learn all about like the geography of like the school, and you're
So
like how
true.
much it costs to go there, and like
Yeah.
you learn a lot about these random schools that you've never heard of until
Yeah.
March, and
Which is
so-
why sports lead the way.
That's
Why
right.
schools depend so heavily
No, yeah, it's true.
on their sports teams.
All right, second, what college has won the most March Madness championships? You already know this, right?
Hoosiers?
Hoosiers? That's no. I'll give you a hint. It's local. It's local to the McRaes.
Oh, is it UCLA?
Yeah, UCLA. UCLA
I didn't know
holds
that, actually.
the NCAA record for the most men's college basketball championships
Really?
with 11 titles. And then Kentucky is second.
How did they do last year?
Not good.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I remember that.
They're in this year, but I don't think they're going to do too hot. But you never know.
Wow.
You never know. So Kentucky has 8. They're second place. North Carolina with 6, and then UConn also has 6. So, all right, there is your March Madness.
I'm going to go for
trivia.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So North Carolina, not that I'm an expert, but North Carolina had to. It's like a play-in tournament. Like you have to play a game to get into the tournament.
Right.
And they were not supposed to be in the tournament.
I love it. And how often are the underdogs?
And they won. They won their play-in they beat like
Mm-hmm.
San Diego State, I think it was. And they're in. So, and then you know what? I chose them for the first round because you just can't count those guys out.
You
UNC.
can't. You can't
So,
count out UNC.
no.
I'm going to go for that one. I'm going to go for the underdogs.
All right. So now Purdue is no longer on the table. You're going for UNC?
Ed, will this be no, Purdue is it was a consideration, but I'm going to vote for UNC.
Okay.
Will this be a weekly check-in?
We can do that. Yeah. Let's do it. I'm sure it'll be perfect still because I'm feeling really good about it.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about it. All right. So that's all the March Madness info I have for everybody. I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy your brackets and good luck.
Yeah, good luck. And I also want to say good luck to everyone that is still doing the mobility challenge. Today is day 20. We have 11 days left. Keep at it. By the time this drops, we'll have like a week left of the challenge. We have 4 grand prizes, 4 runner-up prizes. These are all big packages that we're going to be giving out.
Some good stuff.
There is some amazing stuff in there. I think the 4 grand prizes, they each equal about $2,000 worth of product. So I think that, for those of you that have been consistent, showing up every single day, I just want to applaud you in that. For those of you that have had, things come up and it's been hard to stay consistent, I want you to stay with it. And I think that is a big part of any challenge you do is even if you fall off the wagon for a couple days, training yourself to say, I'm still going to finish it is so powerful. And that's a big part of this challenge. I just want you to feel what it's like just to be consistent day in and day out. So, and then again, I know I mentioned this in my last coaching podcast. That challenge will always stay in the app. So you can do it at any time. And the way that it's categorized, it's just Monday mobility, Tuesday mobility. So you can open up that category anytime. If it's a Wednesday, 5 a.m. morning, you're getting up for that early morning workout, hit Wednesday, and then you can get that done. All of the sessions are like 6, 7, 8 minutes. Yeah, they're pretty quick. It's just a handful of exercises. It's really just to encourage you, get you moving. Ed, we've had just even in the last 20 days, we've had almost 2,000 comments, messages come in from that challenge alone. A lot of really great feedback. I think the most encouraging one that I'm seeing consistently is that people noticed a difference in their running and they're surprised by it. They're like, oh my gosh, I feel this in my recovery runs. I feel this on a daily basis when I'm running. It is really surprising. I know when I started to implement mobility, not just 1 or 2 days a week, but daily, that's when I really started to notice how much it impacted my running, how I felt when I woke up in the morning, just getting out of bed, just overall movement. Your range of motion is better. Your posture is better. I mean, there's so many things that I don't think it's until you get into some of those positions, you're like, whoa, I didn't realize it was so tight, or how off balance you are. So like right side of your body, awesome. Left side, whoa, that's not wanting to do this motion. And I think that's wonderful feedback. It's good to be doing mobility because it gives you feedback about you. And mobility and strength, when you have a lack in either of those areas, that is what leads to injury. So just making both of those a good part of your training each week, even if you're not training for anything.
Yeah.
It just feels good. I know you've been really good, Eddie. I see you on the foam roller almost every single day. I know stretching is a big deal for you as you work through some things in your back, but I'm sure you notice it when you don't.
Oh, yeah.
When you're not doing mobility.
Yeah, very tight, very tense and tight and can't move very well.
Yeah, yeah. So link for that will be in the show notes. Also, just highlighting again, the app is a great way to support our work. So thank you for those of you that are already in there. If you haven't checked it out yet, highly encourage you to check it out. There's always new stuff being released in the app far outside of the challenges. And let's move on. All right.
So we have this past week seen in the track world, yes, pretty amazing things.
Indoor has been exciting.
Pretty
this
amazing
year.
things. Yeah, I know we talked about this. Was it last time we talked? Or
Yeah.
About the how fast
all the
people
records.
are and the records, and then this week were like more records. So I'm like, you know what? We got to mention them. We got to
Okay.
mention them. So we got Jane Hengren, high school national record in the mile this past week. She ran a 4:26:14, 2 seconds faster than the prior world record or national record. And she is a senior in high school.
Wild.
4:26.
4:26. So
Unbelievable.
just to put this perspective, because I actually had a call with Nike this morning, and before the meeting got started, I was talking to one of my friends in the meeting
Yeah.
who was there,
Oh, really?
who watched that. Yeah, because Jane, after she did that, she got an NIL deal
That's right.
with Nike,
You're
which is
right. Yeah, yeah.
incredible. So we don't need to dive into how much sports are changing right now, that kids
Yeah.
can start signing contracts in high school. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just so much. The next 5 years are going to be crazy to see how this all pans out. But so she got signed, and
Yeah.
2 other girls got signed too. So 3 girls got NIL deals from Nike as kids. Like, these are kids.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I said to my friend, I was like, how incredible was that race? She's like, it's just amazing. I go, I can't believe how fast kids are running right now.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And I go, I think that time would have been a top 10 time in the NCAA championships. And she goes, she would have won. She would have won that race.
Oh, wow.
So she would have won the NCAAs with that time. And my mind was
You're
just
right,
blown.
because it was a 4:30
Yeah.
was the winner.
Was the winning time.
Yeah.
And,
Dang, that's crazy.
Jane ran it 4 seconds faster.
Oof.
A high school
That's
girl.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So exciting times for our high school athletes. I think there's positives and negatives, I think, in my opinion. Just because I feel that youth sports is such an exciting time.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, the NIL stuff?
yeah.
Yeah.
The NIL stuff.
Yeah.
Like I love that they're getting these contracts. I think it's amazing. It changes your life.
Mm-hmm.
Financially, just for those that are actually working so hard to fulfill a dream, whether that's because they want to do that professionally. I mean, we think about kids that are going to school who dream of becoming a teacher or a doctor or a veterinarian. Like, that's their life's work that they want to do. And so the pathway for them is like, okay, then I'm going to go to college. And after college, I'm going to do an internship. And then, and some of them need master's degrees and PhDs. Like, that is the whole lead up. But now this is now giving an opportunity to athletes where, yeah, you don't have to wait till you're 22 now to then be exploring whether or not you can do that.
Yeah.
As a career.
Yeah.
These kids are they're getting signed. They're able to jump into that right away.
Yeah. So just as you were talking about that, I thought of something I learned yesterday, and I just checked it out, and it's in a landmark move for college basketball recruiting. The top-ranked 2025 basketball recruit, AJ Dimbanta, committed to BYU, reportedly receiving a $7 million NIL deal.
How old is he?
I don't know. He's just coming out of high school.
Oh, he is coming out of high
Yeah.
school. Because that was another discussion, too, that we had. It's think about all of the athletes that are currently in college. They're like, I'm in a red shirt.
Yeah.
You get this extra year. You're a little bit older. People are they're getting master's degree, graduate degrees. We have people coming over, international runners, too, right?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
are
a lot of those.
that are coming over there. And I know that some schools, they're not even recruiting. It's just everyone kind of exchanging athletes, like where's going to be the strongest team that I can run for. And there's a lot of older runners.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say older, I'm talking about older than like freshman year coming in.
Be careful there.
18, 19 years old. But it's just a really interesting landscape because now it's like being a pro athlete and you're like, well, I'm going to go run for this coach now. And we see this all the time. Runners that are like, yeah, this team isn't working out for me. I'm going to move to Utah. I'm going to move to Oregon. I'm going to move to Arizona. And you find out which pro team you want to run with, who you want to compete with, who you want to train with. And that is somewhat of the feel that we're getting with college runners too, is you're trying to find what coach works for you to fulfill a dream, what team you can be a part of. And in the meantime, you're able to sign all these money contracts too. I mean, it's totally like jumping into your career right away. You don't have to wait. A lot of these athletes, it's like you graduate from college and you hope you get signed, right? Like you hope you get signed or you can find a pro team and hopefully make something. I mean, I remember years back, like being a professional runner, straight from college. You made nothing.
No.
I mean, you bunked with 4 or 5 people into a tiny apartment. If you signed deals, those deals were like $20,000 and $30,000.
Yeah.
And there's maybe a handful of the athletes were getting endorsements from brands. Now all that's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now you could still be living at home with mom and dad, 16 years old, going to prom on the weekend and signing these contracts.
Yeah, it's insane.
So it's wild. But what I was saying earlier was just, I think that as a mom and as someone who has competed well into her 40s, and I understand that you can have a long career in sports if, depending on how you go about it. But I think we're going to lose a little bit of that just kind of carefree part of sports. The joy of just, I had talked about this earlier, like the joy of just like going to a track meet in high school and just sitting and cheering for the team. Like it's just like you don't have a ton of pressure. Sure, you have some of the big meets in the year. There's the state meet and regionals and things like that where okay, there's gonna be like colleges there. But I'm just curious if kids are even gonna stay in high school sports anyway.
Yeah.
If I can picture, if you see that your kid has talent or they have big dreams for themselves, it's like, well, I'm going to homeschool you. You're going to get a private coach, and we're going to tour around all of the big invites, the invitationals, the big weekend races, because that's where the money is. That's where the contracts are. That's where I'm going to be most seen. That's what's going to be on TV. That's what's going to be covered the most. It's not, is anyone going to come to the little dual meet at the city that has 10,000 people? I mean, it's just it's definitely like a different landscape. I think I'll miss that. I'll miss just the kind of the pureness of high school running.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah, it's changing big time. It's changing quick.
Yeah.
Jane is a senior and she's from Utah, ran a 4:26. And then we have a New Zealander, Sam Ruth, who 15 years old, ran a 3:58.35 mile, the youngest ever to break 4, and the first 15-year-old, obviously. That is insane. 15-year-old breaking 4 in the mile.
He's a kid.
That's wild.
Younger than
unbelievable.
Isaiah.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. So I know we talked about this couple, podcasts ago or so, and then this happened. It's like, man, they just keep breaking records, getting faster and faster, and yeah, it makes I'm just curious, like what's the ceiling, right? When is it? How low is that number going to get, right, for these kids?
It's such an exciting time because what do they say? If all you need is one person to do it, and what that does, it causes this domino effect of other people that believe, well, if he can do it, I can do it too. If she can do that, then I can do it too.
Yeah,
and
totally.
That's very encouraging. That's the exciting part, because you can apply that with anything that you're going after in life. I think sometimes we have these goals or these dreams or these ideas in our head, and this isn't just running, and we think that sounds wild, that sounds crazy, nobody's doing that, nobody's heard of that, or I've never even tried something, or I don't even really think I'm capable. But then maybe somebody does something similar, or somebody does it before you, and you're like, wait a minute, that's like exactly what I want to do, or that is like what I've been thinking about. And if they can do it, I can do it too. I think that's why it's so important that we keep dreaming, that we keep trying, we keep creating these plans and these pathways of achieving the goals that we want to do, because you just don't know how it's going to affect other people around you, how it'll encourage or inspire other people to try.
Yeah, definitely.
To try too. And I think, you look at Jane, you look at Jane Hengren, and you look at Sam. Is it Ruthie?
No, I think this is Ruth.
Just Ruth?
I could be wrong, but he's a New Zealander. Maybe in New Zealand they say Ruthie. Sam Ruthie. I don't know if that's New Zealand, but yeah. So man, congrats to them. Not that they listen to our podcast, but I'm just like, man,
you never know.
You never know. But I'm just saying they're killing it. It's pretty fun to watch. So anyway, speaking of breaking 4, how's your Badwater training going, Sal? Let's chat about that.
It is my 4th time going. Yeah, so that's what there I mean. We go.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Badwater training is it's in full effect.
Yeah.
And a lot of double days, I'd say most days of the week. And just reminding myself every single day that when a new day begins, that's all I have to work on it. And I think what's been really powerful for me, because, I feel like work has definitely taken a steep turn for the good, but it's been very busy. What we've been doing together at home, and I love it. It's all amazing
Mhm.
stuff, and we discussed this actually on the last podcast we did together. How in the back of your mind you wonder, and you actually convince yourself that down the road you're going to be less busy, that
Mhm.
life will be different, and you maybe even envision these quiet afternoons and peaceful mornings, because life with babies is so chaotic and loud and all over the place and unpredictable.
Yeah.
Um, and then you go through all these seasons, and it's very easy to find yourself still thinking that down the road things will be different.
Mhm.
But I think what's helped me is, and this really does pertain to my training, is remembering all the times in my life that I've said, "Oh my gosh, I never thought that I'd be doing this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I never thought that I would be here. I wouldn't have guessed in 100 years that this is where I would live or the job that I'd be doing." And I've had so many jobs. Right up to, I remember when I was first signed and just never believed that would happen.
Mhm.
And so I think the power of our mind, and what we believe to be true and what we hope for and what we really desire, it always comes down to that choice in that moment to just go and do it.
Yeah.
And I think most humans feel this way, but we want control over structure, outcomes. We wanna know that what we're doing, that it's gonna pan out exactly the way that we hope it would be or the way that we expect it to be. I feel in my life that's rarely the case.
Mm.
And especially as someone, I know that it's very easy for me to be curious and to set big goals. That's just kind of like a part of my the brain that I have.
Yeah.
I've always been that way.
Mhm.
I love that part of life. I love that part of being a human. But I think I still struggle with, I want to be able to control everything. So I think right now it's with work and training this time around. I'm remembering back in 2021 when I really trained for it. I know I did this in 2022, but it was part of a project. So I trained very differently. I was really just training to finish the project. And
Mhm.
21, I was going to win. That
Yeah.
was the goal and the dream. And I really believed that I would. This year is I just want to be better.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking back on the training from 2021, what I did, and I keep telling myself, just be better than that.
Mm.
And so that brings me to a good mindset every single morning, because I get up, 4:30, and I usually spend the first 3 to 3.5 hours of the day, as you know,
I
at,
know.
at the gym.
I don't know, like, I don't see you doing it, but I know that you're not in the house at that time because I'm definitely not up and there, so
Whatever, you get up and you go on these early morning
no,
walks,
but
but
4:30 is, like, a different level. That I'm not that early.
it's the only way to get what I need to achieve accomplished.
Yeah.
I think that when I first transitioned from off season to training, like I was just training once a day, and I was doing hour and a half, 2 hours during the weekdays. And then I realized and then in beginning of February I found out I got into Badwater, and
Mhm.
I immediately clicked into
Ramped up.
that one a day, hour and a half,
It's
2
not gonna
hours,
cut it.
it's not gonna cut it. So
Game on.
yeah, trying to put in during weekdays anywhere between 3 and 5 hours of training. And then weekends are longer. But yeah, just I think like most of our listeners, juggling life alongside it hasn't been easy. And so one of the things now that I am a little bit older, that has been helpful is I'm a lot more strict with my diet. And I know that when and I typically am not always that way. Sometimes I'll just get strict with my diet, maybe like the 2 months before a race. Like I get tighter and tighter and just make sure that everything is dialed in. But I know when I am tracking what I'm eating and paying attention and being mindful about, that's not going to make me feel good. Eliminating as much processed food and sugar as possible. It gives me that edge on extra energy, better sleep, mental clarity that I really need. So I'm really trying just to squeeze out of myself every possible advantage that I can in the midst of, juggling really long work days. So
Yeah, I want to shout out
yeah.
I want to shout you out because you're cooking some good stuff and I'm eating it too. So I want to shout out the spouses that are the cooks and that make the food for the other spouse, because by default they're doing that little diet too, and they're probably eating healthier than they would. So, and that's where I'm at. I'm eating pretty healthy because of you. So I appreciate you dialing in your nutrition, because by default I kind of dial mine in too. So
the air fryer has been very
yeah, the
helpful
air
to
fryer,
us.
man, that thing is woo.
It has been
I love
so
that thing.
helpful. So, I've had the air fryer for a while. You were so kind to get it for me, like literally 2 years ago.
Yeah,
And
I didn't think you liked it. I'm like, it's been
it took
sitting
me
there
2
for 2
years to
years.
try. Yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess I tried on that one, but 2 years later, opened it up, and here we are.
Yeah, it's
It's good
great.
stuff.
I can make stuff in 15 minutes. Literally
Yeah.
just take meat out, put it in, and 15, 20 minutes, food's ready. So that's been really helpful with a busy schedule.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that
once I saw that, I told you this already, I saw that you can make 2 pounds of fries in like 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm buying this thing. We're getting it for the house. And hey, it's only taken 2 years to open it, but the fries are coming. They are coming soon. So
Yeah, I haven't done fries yet.
yeah, no.
We've done a
Okay.
lot of meat.
A lot of meat, chicken. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good. It's
chicken,
really good.
beef. Yeah, we're big meat eaters over here.
In fact, I still feel some
Do you have some stuff in your teeth?
some stuff in my teeth, because what you just made me earlier was right. It was really good. Oh, wait, what was that? It was pork belly and cream cheese.
Yep.
That was
It was a fat bomb.
a delicious
I made
combo.
a fat bomb.
That was a fat bomb.
Yeah.
That was good combo. So all right, so training's going well. You're just trying to get better than you were in 2021, and you're putting in the work in the gym and dialing in the nutrition. So you're not to scare you, but you are 109 days out. You
Yeah.
probably already know that. I know you know that, but you're 109 days out. So it is just game on.
It's game on.
It is
Yeah.
game on, Badwater.
I have too much experience there
Yeah.
to not remember how hard that race is.
Yeah.
And I have visuals, very vivid visuals of just being at the crew car, just completely decimated.
Done, yeah.
And only halfway through the race.
Yeah.
And this one particular scene really sticks out to me. You guys wouldn't. This is the year I really wanted to win in 2021.
Yeah.
And I was battling horrific diarrhea, so I wasn't able to keep anything in. And we all knew that it was only going to be time till you're losing your nutrition constantly. Couldn't keep anything in. It's hellish heat that the system is going to be like, hey, we're running on nothing and battling extreme heat, and you're trying to cover 135 miles
Yeah.
and 18,000 feet of climbing. Like, what is?
The insides of yours tapping out. They're like,
There was
"Come
no
on,
more insides left.
We're done. We have nothing left to give you."
So I was like, I was like a time bomb. It would be like just waiting for when I just absolutely blow up.
Yeah.
And I think this is right before the last like biggest climb before mile 90.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, I don't know if maybe because we might have this on film, but I came over to the car just done. I'm the heat. We had just gone through Panamint Springs, which is so, it's horrific how hot that is. Especially, each year I've done it. The race director's always, there's an 11 o'clock wave, which I've asked him every year, please, can I not do the 11 p.m. wave?
There's three waves.
There's 3. So 11 p.m. is the elite wave. And when I did the Choose Strong project, I said, hey, I'm not racing it this year. Will you please let me do another wave? Like, let me have a different experience. Like, can I do the 8 o'clock or the 9:30? So it's 8 p.m., 9:30, 11 o'clock. They go out every hour and a half. And you're timed from when you're within your time range. So someone can actually still win in the 8 o'clock wave, but they still have to, even if they pass first, even the person in the 11 p.m. wave, the elite field, still have to beat your running time,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So it always feels really great when you're in the 11 p.m. Wave, when you start passing the 9:30 runners and the 8 p.m. runners. And I remember when we passed the final girl, I think we had like 50 or 60 miles left. And I didn't know if she was in my wave.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah, I
I
do.
was like, I know you guys have to drive ahead 2 miles, so, like, go and figure out what wave that girl's in. Is that the
Yeah.
girl I'm chasing? But, like, unbeknownst to us, I had been first place for a very long time.
Yeah.
But I think that what happens is you hit the 11 p.m. wave. Typically, you hit that Panama Springs, and it's literally the hottest time of the day. At the worst part, you're in the belly of the desert.
Yep.
And I think it's a video shot of me coming over to the car, and I'm sitting on the edge, and I'm like begging you guys to come in and lay down, and you wouldn't let me.
Yeah, we do have video of that. Yeah, it's just iPhone.
We got to
stuff,
find
but...
it. If we found it, it's playing right now.
Yeah,
on the video.
I'll look for that.
So, and we can put up some shots of Badwater as we're talking about it too. We'll add that in there because there's so many beautiful shots. It really is precious to me. But I think this is something that I just really appreciated about the team at that time was, I think had the team not known me, had it just been like random people or just like friends that didn't have ultra experience or really weren't in tune with how important it was for me to win,
Yeah.
they would have let me sleep.
Yeah.
They would have let me come in, lay down in AC, and you guys wouldn't let me. And then I think someone tried putting a blueberry in my mouth.
Yeah, we were trying to
So I
force
was
some
trying to
food
like
into
push
here.
food,
Yeah.
and it was very clear I had just completely bonked 100%. I
Mhm.
had no calories or nutrition there. I remember thinking in my mind, I don't know how I'm going to take another step. Like
Yeah.
I don't even have any energy.
Yeah.
And anytime I put something in, it just goes right through me. It was just this massive wave of frustration. And if this could offer like any comfort or encouragement to those of you that are gearing up for a race this weekend or just in the coming future, it is really amazing what our bodies are capable of doing when we physically have nothing left or when we are physically so uncomfortable. And I think that Badwater race actually is what set me up to be stronger and stronger every single year. So when I did the Choose Strong project, I was able to endure a lot more because of what I endured, the year before at Badwater. But then what I endured at the Choose Strong project, that gave me so much confidence going into the Grand Slam. And so that's really what's exciting when we're creating goals and we're building towards those goals. When you hit the challenges, when you hit the setbacks, when there's failures, you know that they aren't in vain, because every time you choose to work through them, you are strengthening your mind, and you are actually telling yourself, this is what I believe to be true of myself. So I'm going to try because I believe that I can overcome this. And that doesn't necessarily mean that suddenly the challenge becomes easy, that suddenly the challenge like doesn't cause discomfort anymore. It just means that you believe your mind is so much greater than what you are feeling in that moment. And I think that Badwater was a beautiful example of that, because I eventually was able to get a little bit of calories in. I was eventually able to make it up that massive climb, and then the sun started slowly setting. And I think that's what is important to remember too. Like, no matter how uncomfortable you are, you're not going to stay there.
Right.
And so we built up a little bit of energy. I started running. I think 20 miles later, then I didn't have diarrhea anymore, but then I just vomited a lot. So it was like, then it was another thing.
Yeah.
But we use those moments. We can look back on challenges and the discomfort. We can think back to when we just really made big mistakes. And we can use those as fuel. We can use those as platforms on which to stand to say, I learned that. I don't want to learn it again. I'm now going to use it to be better. And I think that's been a really encouraging way for me to move on from, the hardships or just overall in my life. It doesn't even have to be a race, but just every time I'm choosing, I'm not going to let this make me just sit and complain and throw my hands up in the air. I'm just gonna do the best with what I have, and it might look like I'm struggling, it might be that I do it with a limp, it might be that it takes longer, but I'm gonna do it.
Mm.
And I think about that every time I train. I think about how a lot of races in my career, I've shown up not 100%, not because I chose to, but because I've chosen the life that I've wanted to live. I
Yeah.
want to be a good mom. I love running my own business. Like I choose to put my energy in other places.
Mhm.
And that always comes at a cost. And so yeah, I've gotten to start lines a little bit more tired and just looking physically at what I've always had to deal with throughout my entire career. And I think it's just been encouraging to know, like, wow, if I would have just told myself, well, I'm just not ready, or I'm just not cut out, or I'm not good enough, probably wouldn't have done most of these races.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I think gearing up to Badwater this time, I just want to be the best that I have ever been, but I'm fully aware too that that journey to the finish line it will be hard,
Mm.
but I also know what I'm capable of, and that gives me a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to 109 days. We're going to see it. We're going to put it all on the line, right, Sal?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are.
we are.
Yeah, we
Yes,
are.
we are. We'll be there. We will be there.
This episode is brought to you by 8 Sleep. Now, let's talk about a game changer in the world of sleep technology. I especially love this one. 8 Sleep is a pod. It's a high-tech mattress cover that you can easily and quickly add to your existing bed. Now, this cover is packed with advanced technology that allows it to automatically cool, heat, and even elevate. Here's why this matters. The pod has been clinically proven to increase quality sleep by up to 1 hour each night. Are you kidding me? That's a massive boost to your recovery time, which can translate to better physical performance, improved cognitive function, and enhanced overall health. The pod uses precision temperature control to regulate your body's sleep cycles, and it can cool down to a chilly 55 Fahrenheit or warm up to 110 Fahrenheit. And it does this separately for each side of the bed. How cool is that? So this means that you and your partner can each have your ideal sleep temperature. The really cool part is, if that wasn't enough, the pod learns your sleep patterns over time and automatically adjusts the temperature throughout the night to optimize each phase of your sleep. Now, if you are ready to take your sleep and recovery to the next level, head over to www.8sleep.com/choose strong and use the code choose strong. That's CHOOSESTRONG to get $350 off your very own Pod 4 Ultra. Trust me, your body will thank you for this investment in better sleep. I'll tell you personally, I really, really love the temperature regulation. It's amazing, a game changer. Shipping to many countries worldwide. Again, go and check out the details. Link is also in the show notes. This episode is brought to you by Lumi. It's officially vacation season, my friends. In fact, I'm really excited to head out to Flagstaff with my daughter. But do you want to know who's not invited along? Body odor. And that's because no matter where I go, I always bring Lumi whole body deodorant with me. It keeps me smelling fresh from head to toe. And did you know that it is clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours? I could basically fly all the way to Singapore and still smell fresh for landing. Now, I'll tell you what, I have been using the body wash and the deodorant. I love this stuff, especially because I'm outside all day and I have been traveling nonstop since Western States 100. So this is a must for me. And the cool thing is, too, they have it in travel size for a travel bag. Check out Lumi. We are doing a special starter pack. It's perfect for new customers. We got a special discount too. But this starter pack, it comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our Choose Strong listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off the starter pack. So use code SALLY, SALLY, for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code SALLY at LumiDeodorant.com.
All right, we're gonna move on, Sal. We got an Apple review I wanted to highlight, and then we got some Choose Strong listeners doing their thing, and I wanted to highlight them. So, the first one I wanted to read was the Apple review, and the Apple review comes from TABJ97, TabJ97, TobJ97. So we like to.
Butcher.
We like to butcher these names, these handles. So there you go. I already butchered it. All right. Major help in my life. To make a long story short, I was in the military and in a dark place in my life, but hearing Sally and Eddie helped me through that time. Since leaving the service, I've since come out of that darkness, completed my first ultra 50 miler, and I'm here on earth to see my children and my wife grow older. Thank you for all you do. God bless.
I love that.
It's a good one. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, Choose Strong listeners out there doing their strong mind, strong body, strong love. I chose 4 this time, and there is a theme for this one, Sal.
Okay.
And the theme is first timers. First timers. And you'll understand what I mean when I read. So Daquan is our first one. Daquan Curry. He said, I completed my first attempt at 50 miles. All caps. I completed my first attempt at 50 miles. He ran 52.9 miles at the MST Endurance Race, 50 miler, out in North Carolina. Dude, Daquan, well done. First 50 miles, no joke. Got it done. 52. He went above and beyond 50. He went 52.9. Little bonus miles. I like it. All right. Daquan, well done. Josh is actually from the Sally McRae Strength app. And Josh said, first time on the feet for 2 hours straight, ever.
That is awesome.
10.6 miles. Fueling and hydration went great. Legs and feet started feeling a little worn at about 100 minutes, but I had no trouble locking in and finishing. And then came walking lunges and squat presses. Thanks for that one, Coach Sally. Got the work done. Feeling great for week 3. Josh, we are here, and our dog as well, to congratulate you, dude. First time on the feet for 2 hours straight is impressive. Well done, man. 10.6 miles done and dusted. All right, next one, Katie. Katie's from the Choose Strong Strava group. Katie McKenzie. She just finished her first 100K race. I puked at 75K and I couldn't keep anything down, and I thought of Sally and her LaCroix. When I wanted to quit at 80K, I thought, what story do I want to tell when this is all over? I ran 30K on 3 saltines and clear water. We're stronger than we think. So Katie ran the Rabid Raccoon 100K, 64.8 miles out in Pennsylvania.
Which is longer than 100K.
Boom.
I love that, Katie. Huge congrats. I love here. See, this is just a beautiful example. We share our struggles, and then other people can remember them.
Yeah.
We got through them too, and apply it to their own races. So Katie, thanks for sharing that. It really warms my heart. It is amazing that you had 3 saltines and a LaCroix, and that's what fueled you the last 30K to the finish line. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's insane. Well done, Katie McKenzie. And what race was that when you did the LaCroix thing?
What Western States?
Oh yeah,
that's absolute.
Right. That's right. Okay. All right. So Katie in the Choose Strong Strava group. Well done. Well done.
Yes.
All right. Last one. We have also from the Choose Strong Strava group, we have Madison Grosset. And she said, first time running 10 miles. Double digits for the first time. 10 miles out in San Diego around Lake Miramar. Let's go. Madison, well done. 10 miles. That's a big deal. That is a
Hey,
big
that's
deal.
close to us.
That is. It's
Let's
really
go.
close.
Double digits is a big deal.
I know where
I
Lake
know,
Miramar
so do
is.
I. I'm pretty sure I've run around Lake Miramar.
Really?
And yeah, that's amazing.
Nice.
That is something to celebrate. So we are celebrating with you.
You know, I just thought I can't remember the first time I ran 10 miles, but I know it was a big deal. But the first time that I ran 20 miles, I remember I'm like, dude, what did I just do?
Yeah,
Like
I
that
remember
was
that last
insane.
year.
Yeah.
The LA
So,
Marathon just happened this past weekend.
yep.
Eddie, can you believe that it's been a year since you
You know,
ran
it
the
actually feels
marathon?
like 3 years ago.
It does,
Yeah, it
right?
feels very, very long ago. I mean, I feel like this past year has, man, I don't know. A lot has gone on this past year, so it seems like does not seem 365 days ago. Not at all. That's weird.
365 days ago, Mackenzie was in high school.
Yeah, I think that's
And
part of it. Where,
yeah.
yeah, like she's gone. Like there's just a lot of change, right? So, man, yeah, it's already been a year, which is crazy, but it seems it's been like a long time. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, shout out to those of you putting in the work, putting in the training, and gotta love this theme that I came up with, the first timers, and they all putting in their work on that first time hit some single digits, double digits, big miles. I love it. So, thank you guys for writing that stuff in and sharing it on the Strava group and the Strength app. Sal, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Well, I was
I don't
just
want to
gonna
interrupt
say
you.
we're coming to the end of March, and so I
Yeah.
think it's good that you're sharing those things because there's a lot of people that started this year with big goals and ideas for what this year would be like.
Yeah.
And I think it's typical once we get, 3-4 months into the
Couple months
year,
in, and yeah.
we feel sometimes removed or even fatigued by those goals.
Yeah.
Maybe at this point, listeners, if you're at a point in your year where you're like, well, this isn't going the way that I thought it was going to go, or whether that's because of illness or injury or stuff going on in the family, we really want to encourage you that you have today. And today's a perfect day to hit restart on whatever goal it is that you were hoping to achieve this year. And I just love that idea. I tell myself this often all the time, especially when I'm tired, which happens a lot during the second workout of the day after a long day of work, and I got to go put in another hour and a half to 2 hours. I just tell myself, like, if today is all that I have to work on this goal, I can't change anything about what happened yesterday or a few weeks ago or how much I did or didn't do or how I felt. None of that matters. What matters is today. And I think when we consistently tell ourselves, I'll get to it tomorrow will be better, or I'll start on Monday, or I'll start at the beginning of the month, or I'll start at the middle of the year, I'll start at January 1st, 2026. It really just comes down to procrastination at that point. It's
Yeah, I'm
just another
guilty.
way of just procrastinating on ourselves. And, you are worth that work. I think it's easy to get in our car and drive to work each day and just show up to do that work. Obviously getting a paycheck is a great motivator. Needing to take care of bills and families is a great way to keep us going. But I think in that same vein, it's also important that you remember your life is about so much more than just getting up to go to a job. It's you're here for a reason and a purpose, and a lot of what you desire and your abilities and your creativities, they are absolutely wrapped up in what you're supposed to do in this world. And there's a lot of good that comes from just consistently chipping away at a dream. I think that there's something to be said too when let's say that whatever it is that you wanted to work on this year and you're not hitting it. I think when you constantly tell yourself, like, yeah, it's not going great, but I'm still going to work on it, or I'm going to go back to it, I'm going to try it again. Be someone who just tries again and again and again. So that's the good word for you today. Don't give up. Don't let that dream sit for one day, someday, another day down the road, or at the start of another month, because you're not guaranteed any of that. You're guaranteed right now.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
get after it.
Yeah, it's a good word, Sal. Speaking of good word from Sal, this comes to my favorite segment of the show. And this is Sally says. I think we do need to get like a little like intro music for this segment.
It has to be your voice.
There's got to
though.
be like but music coming in and then Sally says. I think that's got to be.
Do it like really deep
Sally says.
or really high.
Sally says. No, that was weird. I can't.
That was weird.
That felt weird. All right. So as you guys know, Sally Says is a segment that we like to have Sally answer questions. Sally answer just random things. It's not really. It doesn't even have to be a question necessarily. It could be anything. So Sally's take, Sally's whatever. People have been writing into us through email and saying, hey, I have a question for Sally, or you can, on our Instagram, you can do that, send us a message, and we will hopefully answer your question, and you will get the answer you're looking for. So I got 2 right here for you, Sal, and Sally says, where do you suggest beginning on nutrition training if you can't afford a nutritionist?
That's really good. I think that all great nutrition starts with real food. So regardless if you are a vegetarian or vegan, or if you have different styles, or maybe because of health concerns, you have to eliminate dairy or gluten. I think that all good nutrition starts with eliminating as much processed food as possible, eliminating sugar and alcohol. And I feel like if you just do those 3 things, you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes like a week to feel that, because many of us, we have such dependencies, or our body's so inflamed from those things. And a lot of those food groups, unfortunately, cause inflammation, primarily like the sugar processed food.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Like you can have reactions to that. You could be very sluggish. I think sometimes when we eliminate stuff, people are like, oh gosh, I can't do this diet. Like I feel horrible on it. But that's actually your body saying and letting you know, like, hey, we're getting rid of all the stuff in you that isn't good. It's not going to feel good when it comes out, when it leaves, or so it is easy to be discouraged when you first start on better nutrition. There is a transition period that has to be respected, and that you might have headaches, stomach aches, might get constipated. I mean, there's a lot of things, but I think if you push through that, after 7-10 days, you're going to feel a lot better. I know when I was doing live in-person strength conditioning and running coaching, I would coach like big groups of women. Nutrition was at the top of all the challenges that we did. And my message always was, and I know people hear this all the time, like, you can't outwork a bad diet. But I actually think this becomes more true the older you get. So like when you're a teenager and in your 20s, like I feel like you could.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe how we ate when we were in college. I mean, you eat Taco Bell and Oreos all the time, like and then you go and like hammer out 90 minutes on the soccer field and you score 4 goals and you're running like 5-minute pace down the sidelines.
Yeah.
And
the good old days, right?
Yeah, you get up and you do that again. And I think that as we age, so once you hit your 30s, you're like, wait a minute, like I need to. Why do I not feel as good as I used to? Like Taco Bell used to not bother me at all, and now it's really making my stomach rumble, or skin is breaking out like never before. So we pay attention to these things, and I think the other thing that is an important part in all of that is just the role that, unfortunately, processed foods and extreme amounts of sugar that are in the American diet.
Yeah.
I've traveled all over the world since I started traveling around the world when I was 17, and I was always fascinated going to other countries, particularly Europe, when I would eat their sugary foods. Like it was never as sweet. I also felt like there was like bakeries on every corner. So like fresh bread was, that was always the aroma in the air, and like the cookies were fresh and the cakes, and it just hit different. Like you could tell like, wow, you genuinely only used 5 ingredients here. And so I always, even to this day, like when I race internationally, I love going to the bakeries and trying the croissants and all the fresh stuff. It doesn't make me feel that same way. So I think once we eliminate those things, we really do start to understand that sometimes what we're eating, or if we're not seeing the results, or our skin's breaking out, or our stomach is just not happy, it isn't always necessarily because of a food group, because of all the extra ingredients that we really can't even pronunciate
Yeah. Right.
that we're putting into our bodies. And I know that this is information that, I mean, we're being flooded with this stuff constantly. If you're on social media, I mean, you can click through and find good health tips
Oh,
and,
yeah.
people way more qualified than me to talk about nutrition. But I think since the time I've started my business in 2007, this is stuff that I have researched. I remember I took a year and I did several different diets as experiments just to see how my body would respond. And in that year, I just learned that any time that sugar, processed food is removed, I always feel better.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is probably like the best advice that I could give
Yeah. The good start, right?
to any athlete, and really just to everyone in their everyday life.
Yeah.
I know that sports products, they're hard to get away from when you're on a long run or in your race. Just save them for that. Like, yeah, it's pure sugar you're putting in. If you do well on that stuff, then keep it there.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to beat ourselves up. I mean, this 80-20 rule you can apply to every area of your life. If 20% of the time you're consuming sports stuff that's high sugar, but it's like you're able to crush your workouts and you feel good, your stomach feels good, awesome, keep doing that. And I think too, the longer you're an endurance athlete, your nutrition has to change. It's what you're putting in, what you're putting out, what you're able to tolerate. I mean, when I first started ultra running, I loved those waffles, like the sports waffles and sports beans. It's basically cookies and jelly beans. And I ate that stuff all the time. I can't eat that stuff now.
Yeah.
I can take it sparingly, like maybe towards the end of the race when I just need quick sugar that I'm just going to fire up. But if I start eating that stuff from the beginning to the end, I'll be puking like crazy. And so, yeah, I think our nutrition is always evolving, but if you're overwhelmed by all the different diets, and there's a lot of fad diets, I mean, I'll be honest, because I've been in the industry for so long, there's so much stuff that's just regurgitated. We have to remember that the sports and fitness industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so the goal is to make money, sell product, and unfortunately there's a lot of crappy stuff out there, but there's also a lot of stuff that's just repackaged.
Mm-hmm.
So there isn't really like this breaking new diet, like there isn't. It's if you eat real food, whether it was grown in the dirt or it had a mother, and you eliminated all the sugar, alcohol, and processed stuff, you'd feel amazing. Your body would absolutely change. And yeah, some of us can't have the meat, or some of us can't have the dairy, or maybe particular like root vegetables or shade vegetables, or all these different things that are toxic to some of us. Yeah, you can always like tweak there, but that's probably like the best starting point, I think. And just it's a great place to start too if you are just now building up into a training program and you just want to get fit or lose a little weight, and just like feel better. If you want to have more energy,
Yeah,
that's it right there.
Yep. Cut the processed foods. Eat whole kind of fresh food, and cut out the sugar and alcohol. You're on your way.
You're on your way.
All right, second one, Sal.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of nutrition, what is your favorite post-run meal?
This is two-part. I always have a literally 2 meals after. I'm gonna just focus more on like the long run.
Yeah.
Because that's when I feel like
the most depleted.
Otherwise, it's just everyday food.
Yeah.
But right now with such high training, most of my sessions are 2 to 3 hours, so I do get back really hungry. When I'm in the mountains, I usually have a cooler with me waiting for me at the car, and it's really funny what's in there, but it's what I've craved over and over again for years. So it's always sparkling water, cold crunchy apple, green juice, like fresh green juice, and blueberries.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, it's just like what my body wants.
Isn't that
And,
funny?
yeah, so I will usually have that on the way home. It's clean.
Mm.
It's clean, it's quick, it replenishes me, it hydrates me. Um, I don't know why it has to be sparkling water. There's something about that carbonation that I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Yes." Then I'll, 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, I'll then have, like, a bigger meal, and that is usually pretty fat heavy.
Mm.
So it could be, like a fatty piece of steak, maybe some cheddar cheese. Um, with that, I love a good sweet potato.
Mm.
And then sometimes it's like a cheeseburger with sweet potato fries, like if I'm going out. But typically after a long day in the mountains, I do pay attention to just getting in a lot of protein and fat. There's so much breakdown that happens in the body, and for those of you that are training for, those longer races, you wanna give your body that so that you don't break down so much that by the time you get to the start line, you're
Yeah.
just, like, not strong.
Mhm.
So, I think that's what's kept me strong is I stopped getting on the scale, several years ago. And when I say that, not it wasn't I didn't have a problem with the scale. But it was just I wanted the focus to because 'cause I've been training for so long, racing for so long. The goal at that time was just how focused can I be on listening to what my body wants, what it needs, because once I start in the thick of my training, it talks to me. If I'm really listening and paying atten if I'm really hungry, I'm gonna eat. If I'm
Yeah.
thirsty, I'm gonna drink. If I sit down and have a meal and I'm like, "That wasn't enough," I'm gonna have more.
Yeah.
But if I do it backwards, if I get on the scale every morning, I'm like, "Well, I gotta watch what I eat, gotta watch what I eat," or I don't know, do I wanna be this way? Do I it's like, that is not as important as your body saying, "I need fuel for what you're about to do today."
Mm.
And, it's pretty incredible. My body always adapts and it changes. If I'm doing a big mountain race, I look a little bit more muscular when I'm doing those. When I do, road races, I'm always at my leanest when I train for Badwater every year because 'cause I'm just doing so much road running. And, the fueling is different for that too. How my training is different, for that. So, it's our bodies are so incredible.
Mhm.
But yeah, the post-run meal, it's really specific. And again, this is more specific to the long run, long days. Um, During the week, if I'm just going out, for a 10-mile run and I get back, I always like to make sure I just have protein. It's okay. I like protein, right away just to build those muscles back up,
Yeah.
and then, staying on top of hydration. So,
All right.
yeah.
That wraps up Sally Says. Wonderful segment that we all look forward to every single time. Thank you, Sal. All right, Sal, we're gonna move into the bulk, the meat. Like what I did there? The meat.
Ooh.
Speaking of nutrition, the meat of the episode. And funny enough, this just a little insight on how this came up because in the mornings I try to go out, as you know, I try to go out and I walk. I get a coffee and I just wake up and I can't run in the morning. I can't go to the gym in the morning, but I'm able to get out and walk. So I try to get some steps in. And if I get up in time, try to catch the sunrise and just get out some fresh air. And anyways, so the other morning I'm out walking and I think it was Monday. I'm actually gonna pull it up. Monday morning, and when I'm out there, I'm thinking of our kids and what's coming, going on next, and then obviously with Mackenzie, not in our house at the moment. I'm thinking about what she's doing and what time it is over in Flag, and sometimes I'll text her and tell her I love her and thinking of her, and but I started thinking, I was like, wonder what it would take. Okay, so let me back up. I like to back up like on my story. So let me back up and say I was thinking of something like, okay, no, this what it was. Sorry, I was watching these surfers. I was like, oh man, there's these, this little kid was out there with his dad, and I'm like, well, I don't surf. My son really doesn't surf either. So maybe in the future, if he picks it up, I'd love to pick it up so I can do that when I'm older with him, right? It's a fun bonding moment. So then I started thinking about Mackenzie, and I was like, oh, she loves to run, and I kind of run here and there. I'm like, I would love to be able to run with her. I can't do that anymore, obviously, because she's like way faster than me. So out of nowhere, I started thinking, I was like, well, maybe like her slowest like recovery days, like what would that pace look like? So I
It's so
decided
fast
to
still.
I decided to text her. This was Tuesday. Sorry, that was Monday. Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning. I go, hey, what is your slow recovery pace? If you were told, hey, I need you to go run 4 miles at a slow recovery pace, what's that pace? And she wrote back with a crying emoji. like what? She goes, like, 7:45 pace, I'd say. Why? And then I wrote back, oh, I'm just trying to have a goal pace to see how fast I need to beat you. And then she says, I can't, with a bunch of crying emojis again. So, anyways, this was an actual legit text I sent to her because I was really actually curious about how slow her recovery run is. So, let's say in the summer when she's back, that she was told, hey, you go run 4 miles at a recovery pace. And I would love to join her on that run. And so that's why I was curious. So she said 7:45. So me, as I'm not really running right now, but I mean, I can probably go out and pull off a 9-minute mile, right? So I started to think, okay, if I'm running right now in March and in the summer, I wanted to get down to like a 7:30, 7:45 pace. What does that look like for me as your average runner? Run a couple times a week at best. What does that look like if I just want to increase my speed overall, so I can run a little faster and keep up with my daughter? So that's how this whole topic came up. And of course, I have Sally here in front of me, and she's going to kind of walk us through what that looks like on a very basic, general terms, the basics to becoming faster. So, Sally, how would you instruct me to go from a 9-minute mile to about a 7:30, 7:45 mile? No time frame, just how would I eventually get to that point? And really, really basic, really simple. But what are some basic tools or things that you think I should be doing to do that?
Consistent running.
Consistent running,
That's the
which I have not been
simplest.
doing. So yes, that's one thing I can
Well, it's
do.
the hardest.
Yeah.
So I'd say when most people step into the world of running, and I talk to high school and college kids all the time that they're not on the running team. Maybe they had a friend. I mean, we saw a couple kids when you were running the half marathon. There's a couple kids on Isaiah's cross country team that were running the full marathon.
Yes, they were.
So it is really popular right now for younger kids to be stepping up to these bigger distances and really pushing themselves. It's so rad. But I think that with that also comes this kind of confused, like, about how do I get faster? How do I get stronger, better? And I think what we tend to do is we just align it with how we do everything else in life. Also, we think about it in the same way that we want everything else. And we live in a society where you can get most things pretty fast.
Yeah.
You can be um, gratified pretty quickly with a product, with information that you're trying to find, and there's something for any need that you have. But the beauty and the difficulty in running is that you can't force any of that. You have to put the work in, and you have to build patiently. So we don't get fast overnight. We don't run far overnight. I think what we tend to do is we try to push all those things as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
It is so common to hear, and I get such a chuckle out of this when someone tells me, hey, I'm training for this race. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'll say, all right, well, what does your training plan look like? And I can usually guess, because what ends up happening too when someone is telling me about this, they already are injured
Yeah.
or they already have like shin splints. Their Achilles are super tight or they're just like so exhausted. And in my mind, I'm already guessing exactly what they're going to say to me. And it's every single week or every single run, I'm running either further, faster,
Yeah.
usually both. If I ran a mile on Tuesday, I have to do 2 on Wednesday. I have to do 2 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday, and the pace has to be faster every single time. And literally 12 days into that training, they're wrecked and they're like,
I'm not gonna
running's
lie, it
hard.
sounds like one of my plans before.
It's so true. And you know what? I think that that's how we learn though, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not putting that down. I mean, I tried some really wild things when I first started running too. I was just kind of like, well, this naturally I'm going to go further.
Yeah.
Naturally, I'm going to try to run a little bit faster. And there's a lot of variables. So like nutrition is something you have to play in the part. And like, yeah, you probably shouldn't run in old shoes. And it's like, why not? Like
Yeah.
they still look good. So there's all these little things that affect our running. And I think second to that, once you are motivated to run, it's actually staying consistent. And I think that anything that we do, that is one of the greatest difficulties. But I think most coaches will say, if you want to be a better runner, just run more.
Yeah.
And it isn't necessarily like run longer and longer every day. It's just try and run every day.
Yeah. Be consistent. Start. Yeah.
And so that's where I would start. Now, the second question is pretty natural too. It's well, how far do I go? How fast do I go? The truth is, in order to get faster, most of your runs are going to be slow. And then you build a foundation just running slow. I am a big believer in heart rate training. I think it's good to have that as part of a phase. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay in heart rate training, but it is incredible how much you can build. You can actually build more longer with less risk of injury if you do heart rate training, because heart rate training, it forces you into this disciplined structure of only staying in your heart rate. Whereas in our mind, if we're going to get faster, we think that every other day we're on the track, that it's a tempo run most days of the week, and that we're really trying to hit that race pace right out the gate. And I even see training plans online, like those free downloadable ones.
Yeah.
I mean, like week 1, they have people doing 800s on the track. And I'm
Yeah, I've
like,
seen
that
those.
is,
Yeah.
no, like
Yeah.
that is a nightmare. Unless it's a seasoned athlete that understands that,
Yeah.
and they've been just training, they've just been running regularly, then I could say like, yeah, well, if you've been running regularly for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I probably could start you with, you know, some work on the track. But I think at the core of anything we do, I'd even say this to athletes that are really frustrated in their current training, or just maybe for the last couple of years, they feel like I haven't made any improvement and I don't feel like I'm getting faster at all. One of the best things you can do is just take a step back and for 6 months, just do heart rate training and make it a goal to stay in that heart rate zone and to consistently train day in and day out. It is amazing what happens. And the more that you run, the more consistent you are then able to handle more intense workouts. You're then able to run faster for longer. And I know that sounds backwards, but it's proven science. And you know, the bigger your aerobic base, the more capacity you have for intense workouts, and then you're not breaking all the time. So I think sometimes we do see these types of workouts. I can even say just overall fitness workouts where it's like you know, blast 15 pounds in 6 weeks, and you're going hard out of the gate right away. And especially if you have not been training for a long time, or let's say you have a lot of weight that you want to lose. A lot of those people have success like right out the gate. Like if you're brand new to something, you're going to see the biggest gains right away, and it's extreme, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And then that is then where the injuries come, or the burnout comes, or things don't start lining up anymore. And so I really think that the patient long road of just consistent hard work is the best way to build. It's hard because it's not flashy. It's hard because you don't see results right away. It's hard because sometimes the patient build is just like you see the gains are so minimal. But I'll tell you what, you're able to run longer for the longevity of your life, and your fitness just naturally increases. And then this is where, a lot of the coaches will then come in and be like, all right, let's talk about interval training. Let's talk about tempo runs. I mean, I think tempo runs I mean, it's the bread and butter, man. That is like the magic golden workout are the tempo runs and uphill hill repeats. Those get you strong and mentally tougher too. But I could go into my favorite workouts, what those look like, and how I would program, someone specifically. But when I think about you, Eddie, because you said, how would you train me? Yeah, I would start with just consistently running every day, because what that does, when you do anything consistently, you naturally gain fitness.
Yeah.
And at the base of every single sport, the fitter that someone is, the better that they're going to be able to handle the workout side of it. So if you think about when you were coaching soccer, or even when you were in college and you started Hell Week, anyone that showed up that did not train all summer, you knew right away. You knew after the first workout, coaches looking around and was like, all right, you, and you absolutely trained all summer. I can tell. And the rest of you guys are going to be in a lot of pain this week, right? And
Yeah.
it's just blaring. And, base fitness is not hard. It is not, for the most part, you are not in this constant state of discomfort. What's hard are those intervals around the track, 800s around the track, 1,000 meters around the track, repeats over and over and over again, uphill hard repeats, 2 by 20-minute tempo runs inside of a 16-mile workout. Like, that's hard.
Yeah.
And to do those 2-3 times a week, like, that's solid work. You're really starting to see your fitness and that everything's starting to fine tune. But if you don't have a foundation, you're not doing that stuff, and you're definitely not reaching the paces that you want to reach. And so building this big base of fitness, and you can do that. This is probably where, like I said, I could have a roundtable of coaches here, and we probably all kind of want to stick our necks out and be like, well, I think this is better and this is better. I think you can build fitness in a number of ways. So, and I also believe that the older we get, I like to encourage cross training. I would say to someone like, hey, you don't need to run 6 days a week. Let's do 4. And the other 2 days, I'd love to see you swimming or cycling, or, so that we can keep you injury free and we're not pounding your body every single day. But overall fitness, you can gain that in so many different ways. And so I think that it was Parker Valby was the poster child for that last year when she won the cross country national championships, and everyone found out that she did that by training on an arc. And I think she trained on the arc the majority of her training. The arc, by the way, for those of you that don't know, we'll throw up a picture here in Spotify so you can actually see what this cardio machine looks like. It kind of looks like a bigger elliptical machine, but you have to remember Parker Valby. She's one of the best middle and distance runners in the nation. And she has all kinds of records. She went to the Olympics right from college. Just a phenomenal, talented athlete, and trains insanely hard. So it wasn't like she just got on the arc and was just kind of like, I mean, she's, as she says, puddles of sweat on the ground every time that she trained. That's hard. That's hard training. But Eddie, as you know, I know your favorite machine in the gym is the stair mill. That is a very hard machine. Doing that for 15-20 minutes, you're soaked. You are sweating. And especially as you push it up in levels. So once you get into the double digits on a stair mill, your heart rate is just up.
Yeah, it's rare I get to the double digits on that.
Well, even so, continuously climbing, continuously pushing against gravity, picking up those knees, and that is wonderful workout. And so one thing that I have always encouraged, if you have a hard time staying consistent and running every day, I'll put athletes in the gym and I give them these very creative cardio machine workouts, and they love them because time goes by fast, and they'll be able to do 60 to 90 minutes in the gym, and they love it. But I'll have them change, sometimes it's changing a machine every 10 minutes, depending on what the total duration is, or it's changing a machine every 20 minutes. And you're doing something different on each machine. And in their mind, they're just thinking, I can do this for 20 minutes. But overall, they're getting 60 to 90 minutes of overall continuous cardio workouts. If they're doing stuff like that and then they're intermixing it with run training, and most days of the week, that's what they're doing, that baseline of fitness is going to just make them fitter. And their recovery run that they want to run with their daughter is going to feel a lot better. It's going to feel a little bit more effortless. So I know I've told this story before in the podcast about an athlete that I trained. I want to say it was like 8 years ago. He ran trails in Utah, and he said, Sally, that was his goal. He came to me in November and said, I want to get faster. And I said, all right, well, I think tell me a little about your training. And this had been someone that had been training consistently for a while. And so just as I said earlier, I said, I would love for you to take a break from all these different workouts and different structures that you've been trying and kind of trying to get faster and it's not working. We're going to take a break. And for the next 3 to 4 months, we're just going to train in the aerobic heart rate. And he was not on board. Right away. It really was a leap of faith for him. He really had to trust me in this. And again, I don't think it's for everybody. I think some people get bored and they fall off, and that's okay. I think there's some coaches who are like, there's other ways to do it, but I think it's a tried and true method. And so the way his lifestyle was and just knowing what his overall fitness was anyway, I put him through a heart rate test. We put him on the track. He did the run. It's a super boring run. It's 4 to 5 miles on the track, but you pay attention to your heart rate every single mile and you record that. You stay in your aerobic heart rate. And then I customized a plan where that's all he was doing. And his average pace while in his aerobic heart rate when he started was like a 940. 3 months later, his average heart rate while in that aerobic, his average running pace while in that aerobic heart rate was 834.
Wow. 3 months?
Yeah. 12 weeks. And he got more than a minute faster. And that was staying in the same heart rate. So aerobic heart rate is, some people coin it your run forever pace or your long run pace when it's not a long run workout. There's long run workouts. It's different where you're hitting tempo runs inside that and intervals. But just, your long run pace where you just go out with a buddy and you chat, conversational pace. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing. He could run faster at the same effort. And that's the goal. That's the beauty of building a foundation because you become so fit. You're able to handle the intensity a little bit better. You're building up that cardio system. Your lungs are stronger. You're taking in more air into your muscles. You're building all of that up. You're training all of that. Mm-hmm. And that really is at the basis of getting faster. So as I said earlier, I want to explain this in a way that anyone can take away from it. It's the most basic. I'm not using big words and scientific research. I'm not talking about complex workouts, and I haven't really even gone into the tempo runs and the intervals and all that stuff that starts to play a part too, because you do then need that stuff. There is. I can't express how important strides are. And strides are so short. You only need a few strides. You do this a couple times a week. It's amazing, but it works on biomechanics and leg turnover, and all those things make you faster. Doing mobility makes you faster because it improves your range of motion, your posture. You're more efficient in your running gait, and suddenly you're just a few seconds faster. It's amazing. Just things that you can do that don't have a lot to do with speed workouts, but even strength training. So if someone has really weak hips and glutes, your power comes from your glutes. That's where your power comes from. Hips and glutes. So if you strengthen those, like you can emit more power. You can get your legs to turn over quicker. So I think it's just being smarter about what your training looks like and not really buying into the fact that it just means that you need to be running faster all the time. You don't. It's simple. Be consistent, aerobic train, build that base, make sure that you have some mobility and strength changes so that you're at the core and the root of who you are, you're just strong. And then when it's time to work in those workouts, that could be part 2. We could talk about key workouts that you can do to get faster, but everyone needs to start at the starting block, which is the unsexy, slow,
Yeah.
patient, very basic workouts. And I think for some listeners, they're going to hear this and probably breathe out a sigh of relief, because it's easy for athletes to beat themselves up and they're trying all these crazy stuff and they're always getting injured and they're feeling tired, and they start to dread their workouts because they're trying to be fast every single time they run, and it really, plays a toll on your body. So, be okay with giving yourself that season. This season, I'm going to go back to the drawing board. I'm going to start by just building a massive aerobic base. And then after 6 months, I'm then going to see like what kind of workouts I can do and start incorporating those.
So part 2, those workouts, you recommend 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the athlete. I think that the fitter somebody is, the longer that somebody's been training. So coaches, we have this term, it's called training age. And, you have infant, so it's like 0 to 1, and then all the way up to, I think it's 7 or 8. But that's where you have the most gains and that's like consistent training. And you use this a lot more for high school and college athletes. So if, let's say that a kid realized his senior year in high school, Magda was like this. Magdalena Boulay, who's went on to be an Olympian and 2-time ultra runner of the year, when she was at the height of her career. She discovered running, I think it was her senior year in high school. So she wasn't one of those child prodigies that was running hard races from the time she was 8, 9, and 10, and then all the way through high school. And she often says, like, because of that, that's why she was able to excel so much in ultra running into her, late 40s, was because her body, her training age for running started much later. So when she entered college, her training age was actually like 1.5, 2.
That's cool.
And so because of that, she then was able to build for another 6, 7 years and make legit improvements.
Big gains, yeah.
Yeah. So that's always something that we as coaches, we want to find out. It's like, well, how long have you been training? And then even if you have a great athlete, let's say that they were injured for a year, you then kind of bring them back. You bring them back. Okay, well, we need to actually then start like 2 steps back from where you were when you got injured, because you've been down for so long. And so, that's something I would say for building an aerobic base. If you haven't had consistent training, and consistent training is, in my opinion, it's at least 3 times a week where you're exercising, you're putting in work, and you've done that for 6 months. And there hasn't been any illnesses or injuries in there. So if you've been training consistently, so if someone came to me and they told me that, I would program them way differently than someone's like, dude, I just got cleared to run.
Yeah.
I haven't run in 8 months. It's like, all right, well, we're going to do 6 to 8 months of just aerobic base building because you just told me that you want to run a sub 3-hour marathon. So we're going to do this right. We're just going to work on your fitness. We're going to make sure you're strong, and we're going to make sure that you don't get injured again. I think that's most important. Not all athletes are on board for that. They're like, well, that's way too long, 6 to 8 months. I have to wait. I can't like race. I can't do this. But, and I dealt with that with the gentleman that I was telling you about from Utah, who improved his time by over a minute. I mean, he was 10 weeks in. He's like, I'll be honest, Sally, this is so boring. I don't know. And we didn't continue it after 5 months, he was done with it. And it was fine. I mean, he was very happy with how he was progressing, but he's like, dude, I need some workouts. I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to the athlete, what your goals are. If you are looking to do like some really big things in the endurance world, taking that 6 months to just focus on aerobic capacity, building that, making that really big, and building strength head to toe, you'll come out an endurance monster when it's time to like put in structured training with workouts. But I think that there's other ways to go about it too. I really do. I think there's a lot of great coaches and coaching plans out there where they might do a build-up phase that's 8 weeks or 12 weeks, and within the majority is still going to be aerobic base training, but then they'll throw in like some fartleks. They'll throw in some strides. They'll do stuff to keep it interesting so that you're not bored out of your mind. And you're still going to make gains in that too. I think that like I said, if we were sitting here with coaches all around the table, we would all speak into this in different ways. And I think different things work with different athletes. I mean, I've worked with athletes before who have made monumental gains within the first few months of me working with them, after they turned down the heart rate training, and I spent 3 months with them where, twice a week they were doing fartleks, and, or it would be like a day with strides, and same thing. They're making great gains. So it really does come down to the athlete. It comes down to what your goals are. But I think across the board with any sport, whether you're a soccer player, you're a triathlete, you're a road runner, you're an ultra runner, giving yourself, I'd say a minimum of 3 months where you're just base training.
Yeah.
It's such a great way to start your season. It also helps you, build that confidence. You're building up a consistent plan. You don't really dread aerobic running outside of the fact that like, oh man, what music am I gonna listen to? Because this is like such a chill pace all the time. But people, they get anxious and stressed out and afraid when they see tempo run. They get anxious and stressed out when like, whoa, coach has me doing, you know, 800s today, and then I have to do 5 miles at the end of it, and it's like you can really work yourself up. And so I think the base training, it's just a really patient, gracious way to build up to your speed.
Yeah, to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so full disclosure, I'm going to read something out of this book. I have not read this book. It's called Run Fast: How to Beat Your Best Time Every Time by Hal Higdon.
One of the greats
One of
right
the
there.
greats.
I love Hal Higdon.
Yeah, I actually saw this in the house here, and when I was thinking about this topic, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I picked it up.
I've got a fair share of my run books. I got a big running book library.
Yeah, so I was just like flipping through the the introduction, the chat. I think I might read this, but and then I might have a whole segment called Ed Says. Who knows? We might
I
just
hope you do.
we might have some questions ready. No, but anyways, I read this little section here, and the title of this little section is called Your First Steps to a Faster Pace. And it's talking about like beginners, and it says the best advice anyone can offer a beginner is just to do it. Begin easily and take a few steps forward. Walk and jog without worrying whether there's anybody looking over your shoulder, etc. And then it said, in the words of Priscilla Welch, if you want to become the best runner that you can be, start now. Don't spend the rest of your life wondering if you can do it. Of course, Welch also knows it's never too late to start. A former heavy smoker, she didn't even begin competitive running until she was in her late 30s or mid 30s. But she went on to make the British Olympic team and to win the New York City Marathon. Like, there you go, man. You know what? I'm going to be like Priscilla Welch.
I love that.
I'm going to be like Priscilla Welch, and I'm going to be consistent. I'm just going to start, and who knows? I might win the New York City Marathon. Well, we never know. You just my goals are just really high this episode. They're really out there, and thanks to your instruction and coaching, Sal, I think I have a good picture of what I need to be doing. So,
well, your daughter comes home in 48 days for summer break.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's gonna be enough time. Maybe I'll catch her on the tail end of her summer break to run a few miles with her.
She's here for 3 months. So if you start now.
I do need to start now.
By summertime, you're going to be well on your way.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap this up because I can get out and I got to start ASAP. Time is against me right now. You know what? Let's check in real quick with my bracket now, because I know that there's at least 2 or 3 people out there that are really, really wondering how it's going.
From the time they started listening to this podcast?
Yeah. You know what? I'm not going to lie. It says your bracket is perfect so far. And it looks like Auburn is about to win. And I'm going to be perfect again. And my daughter's calling me. And I want to pick this up so bad, but I'm not. I can't.
Pick it up. Say hello.
Okay.
Let her know that you are on the podcast. I think people would love to hear that.
Hi, Kens. Hey, we're doing a podcast right now.
You're on the mic, Kens.
You're on the mic. Say hi. Oh, you're on the ark. We were just talking about
Mackenzie,
that.
we
How
were
funny.
just talking about the ark.
Yes.
Yes. Mackenzie, tell us what the ark is like. If you had to just
An elliptical, I'd say, but like without the like, it's more of like a running form, I guess, like
You-
running position.
you have better leg swing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Is it bigger than the elliptical, like just the size of it? Oh, okay. See, I thought it was bigger.
Huh.
Okay.
How funny. Yeah, we were just talking about the ark and we were talking about you, and then you decided to call. This is like perfect timing while we're recording this podcast.
Mackenzie, I'm
so-
not kidding. Dad said on the podcast that he's trying to work himself up so he can run your recovery run with you.
Let's do it. All right. So
Wait, Mackenzie,
this summer.
Is this workout number 2 for you today?
yes, it is.
That a girl
My
putting in the
girl's-
work.
She's been putting double days quite
Let's
a
go.
bit. She did 6 miles this morning. How long do you have on the arc?
Just an hour.
I love
Just an
the
hour.
just.
Just an easy hour.
That's my girl right there. That's my girl.
All right, baby. I love you. I will call you in a little bit.
Love you, Kens.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Look at that. So back to my March Madness. I am Auburn just won. See, I am perfect so far. 50 points, 100%. I'm telling you guys, it's going to be a good March Madness. So, all right, Sal.
I
Enough
just need
with
to
my-
highlight the fact
Enough
that
with my rambling.
this morning when Mackenzie called me first, yeah, Ed
She's
was
trying
like,
to flex right now.
Ed was like,
She's trying
oh
to
wait, I'm
flex.
pretty sure she probably called me first and I didn't pick up, so that's why she's calling you.
She did not call me, unfortunately. But you know what? It's better because she called during the podcast.
That was pretty cool.
That was cool.
How cool is it that she was on the arc too?
Yeah, we were just talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been, Mackenzie unfortunately had a stress reaction in the upper part of her femur where it connects to her hip.
Yeah.
And so she redshirted cross country and indoor, and she's been working really hard to get herself back into shape. I'm not sure if she'll compete outdoor this year, but she's already thinking about the future and the future goals. And for her, that it'll be many months of just foundational training.
Mhm.
So, this morning I think she ran on the anti-gravity treadmill and now she's on the arc. But she's building fitness any way she can. I know she's on the bike a lot too. So
Yep.
just reiterating that point that everything that you do, whether it's in the gym or it's outside, it matters. And I know that for a lot of us, especially when we're coming back from injury, we're battling something that's chronic, it is easy to get discouraged that if we don't put in the miles outside that it doesn't count. And that is incorrect.
That's incorrect.
So all the work that you do, it counts, it matters. So whether you're strength training, you're on the elliptical, you're on the stair mill, you're on that treadmill, you're in your basement watching your kiddos while you put in that training, it all matters and it adds up. And, I always like to think of my training. I actually do this a lot. I wear Koros, one of my sponsors, and I love they have this function in there where you can just, after you upload your workout for the day, you open up the Koros app, but you can click on steps for the day, the hours of training for the day. It's just in that day's summary. And it immediately brings up this chart that shows you year to date, week, month of that actual stat. So I can see on average this week, this is how many steps I've taken. On average this week, this is how long my exercise time has been and all of that. And I love that feedback because I like to measure my fitness in different ways. If on average I'm taking 15, 20,000 steps a day, awesome. And I think we have to find those things to celebrate when we're building up fitness, when we're coming back from injury or we're just trying to stay consistent. What is it that you're doing that you can celebrate? So some days it's going to be your steps. Some days it's going to be like, wow, I put in 2 hours of work today. Other times it might be your mileage or your effort. But I think, find something to celebrate each day. That's going to help you stay consistent because when it comes down to it, that's the most important factor. So, Eddie, I think we have a whole community of people that are rooting for you to stay consistent.
Yes, I need that.
For Eddie's goals to really come to fruition so that he can run with his daughter during her recovery runs when she comes back from college. I think that's a great goal.
I agree.
And yeah, I know that you spend a lot of time on the bike next to her while she runs.
Yeah.
And I know that's always brought you a lot of joy, but it would be really sweet for you two to share some miles together as she trains for the 2026 season.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. I just want to give a big shout to everyone that has hung out with us for this long. If you are still running, well done. If no one's told you yet today, we are super proud of you for showing up for yourself, for working on your goals, putting it in. Eddie, I know that we are coming at the end of March here.
Yep.
It is my birthday month coming up, which is in April. And what I've decided to do from today until the end of April, April 30th, which is my birthday, I'm back on Cameo. I kind of like I locked that up for a little bit. But Cameo is an app that you can download, and it's a whole platform of, I don't know, there's athletes, musicians, actors, celebrities, all that good stuff. So I got invited to be on Cameo, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. And so I have a profile in there, and for the past few years, I've done cameos for people. So if you want to send a birthday wish, a word of encouragement, if you need a race week message, you can gift a message to somebody from me, and it's customized just to you. It's a video that's sent right to you. You can keep it forever. But basically what you do is you give me a prompt. So, a lot of times, like I have 3 that I'm looking at right now. I have a mom who wants me to send a message for her daughter in high school. She has an athlete. Somebody else that is sending a message for a birthday. And then someone else that's really discouraged by an injury. So you can kind of prompt me. You can ask me a question. You can ask me to send a special message. It could be for any occasion or just because. It could also be just for you. So for my birthday, I am gifting everyone with a greatly reduced rate than what I usually charge from now until April 30th. So make sure you get your request in. We'll go ahead and put the link in the show notes. If you would like your very own cameo, I would love to make one for you. And I think that's about it for announcements. I just want to leave you with the good word to say we are cheering for you always, and we hope that you keep choosing strong in all you do.